So today, are you ready to go from victim to champion?
Yes.
Oh, good. We got a few people that are. The rest of you, maybe by the end of the service. Okay. So I know of, well, first of all, it's my heart's desire that today's message will support you in claiming and tapping into your personal power in order to choose your response to life circumstances. Because we know life happens, right? But we have an opportunity to really choose how we respond to what happens. And I know of no other piece of writing that more demonstrates the shift from victim to creator than Portia Nelson's autobiography in 5 short chapters. How many of you have heard it before? Autobiography in 5 short chapters. Wow, you are in for a treat. I thought you were all going to be reciting it with me. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. This was written shortly after Portia Nelson went through breast cancer and a mastectomy. And so I think she knew what she was writing about. So, how many of you have heard of the transactional analysis? Okay? All right, great. And it was made popular by psychiatrist Stephen Cartman in the late 60s. Of course, I had to read about that, being so young at that time. But anyway, it's a basic structure of human dynamics called victim, persecutor, rescuer. It's a triangle, okay? And the empowerment triangle, or the empowerment dynamic, this book, is a way out. It's a different street to walk down. And even Stephen Cartman said it's the first thing that he's seen that enables a shift. And it's not a new book. I mean, this is the 10th anniversary edition, but I just discovered it a few months ago. So, it's about going from victim, perpetrator, or persecutor, rescuer, to creator, challenger, coach. Don't those sound a lot better? Creator, challenger, coach. And so over this next 3 weeks, both on Sunday service and on Wednesday evenings, we will be going over these. You know, certainly on Sunday morning, it's just a little skim over it. we'll go deeper if you can be with us on Wednesday evenings to really talk about how this applies in our life. So, there's also some neurobiology that goes on when we use this technique that I thought you might find interesting. Because we all have a self-image, right? We all have a way that we see ourselves in the world. And this self-image has a neurobiological substrate. And that substrate is that now let's see if this sounds like unity. The thoughts we hold are replicated in our body, and in our body chemistry, and in our neurophysiology. You know, the third principle of unity, basic principle of unity, is thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. You know, unity very much teaches that we're mind, body, and spirit. We're not just this bag of flesh, right? So we have to shift our neurobiological substrate as well as our thoughts. So we do them both. They happen together. And we have to shift how our bodies hold a belief, because our bodies hold beliefs. And it's a major shift, it's a major transformation of our memory system that's holding the old memory of, I'm a victim, it's not my fault, okay? That's an old memory. And we can transform this memory into possibility, the possibility of a new future. Would that be helpful? Yeah, right, that's great, because that's what's in it for us. To have a transformation so that we can have a new possibility of a new future. And that happens because through this process, we become aware of who we really are and who we really came here to be. So, we've got the victim and we've got the creator. And they are affected by our thoughts, by our feelings, and by our behaviors. So, the thoughts that we might have, who knows what thoughts might you have as a victim? Or somebody else, you know what you tell yourself. What thoughts might someone have if you're in victim consciousness or victim orientation? For me, what? I don't deserve to be treated like that.
Was it my fault?
It wasn't my fault. Yeah. I'm powerless. I'm at the mercy of circumstances. Woe is me. My dream isn't possible. So, life happens to me. And yeah, it's not my fault. It's a state of consciousness or an orientation that is unwilling to take responsibility for what happens in my life. And that's why some people come to Unity and they never show up again. Because this is about self-responsibility. If you don't want to take self-responsibility, Unity's not for you. I'm here to tell you. Because you can go and have vicarious atonement, where Jesus has done all your work for you. But in Unity, we believe Jesus said, I'm out of here, it's now up to you. I've told you what you need to do, now do it, okay? And I just want you to know that we can all be a victim without being in victimhood, right? I mean, we can be a victim of an accident, we can be the victim of a crime or anything like that. But we don't have to be in victimhood just because we're a victim. So what would that look like? And by the way, one of the videos I watched about the power of TED said, any complaint, if you have a complaint, that's being a victim. Anybody here not got a complaint? Okay, so we're all victims, so let's go ahead and just face it. We admit it, that's the first step, right? We have to acknowledge and start to be aware of when we are in victimhood. Okay, that's the first step. Without that step, there's no hope for us. So then we want to shift to creator in terms of our thoughts. And that's where we're going from reacting as we did as a victim to choosing, making a choice. That I have a choice regardless of my circumstances. Regardless of what's happened, I have a choice in terms of how I respond. And it's a consciousness where we're saying, I am dedicated to choosing growth. I am, as Bob said, committed to choosing growth. I am focused on what I want to create rather than what I don't want, which is the victimhood thing. Okay? And so it's a results-oriented, it's goal-oriented when we're in creator consciousness. And we work consciously and we work deliberately to deal with the current situation while moving toward something better, right? Something better, toward the life that we really want to create. And we take full responsibility for initiating action to achieve what it is that we desire, what it is we want. We don't just sit back waiting for it to happen, we take action. So that's how the thoughts work in terms of shifting from victim to creator. So what about feelings? What are some feelings a victim might have? Pardon? It's never going to get better, so what kind of feeling would that be? Hopelessness.
Sadness.
Pardon?
Sadness.
Sadness. Yeah. A feeling of being hurt, or victimized, of being discounted maybe, okay?
Fear.
Fear? Yeah, always fear.
Loneliness.
At the bottom of all of those. Pardon?
Loneliness.
Loneliness. So the ones we want to focus on, though, in terms of the real victim consciousness is the helpless, hopeless, victimized, discounted. You know, they just feel heavy, don't they? Just to hear them or to speak them. And so when we shift from victim to creator, we become hopeful. We become energetic. We become inspired. And we become resilient. Doesn't that feel lighter? Doesn't that feel better? Yay. Yeah, I'll take more of that. So that's the feeling. So we've got the thoughts that are going on, we got the feelings, and then guess what? We got the behaviors, right? And so the behaviors is what might a victim, how might a victim behave in regard to a challenging situation? Retaliation? Pardon? Shut down? Unmotivated? Yeah. Didn't hear that one. Whiny. I like that one. Whiny. So basically the blaming and judgment. Yeah. So what happens is basically all these examples are reactions, right? It's a reaction to the problem. And a reaction that can be quite filled with drama. That's why they call the victim, persecutor, rescuer triangle the DDT, the dreaded drama triangle. And it's poisonous. So DDT is appropriate. So the behaviors are, as a victim, I react to the situations instead of responding. There is a difference. I might distance myself from the situation. I might just give up. Or I might just feel so wiped out that I don't have the energy to move forward. So those are the types of behaviors that happen when we're in victim consciousness. So then we step into creator consciousness. And we have, guess what? Action toward what we want, towards the desired outcome. We take responsibility to make these choices, and then we take baby steps to learn and to grow, okay? So we go from that woe is me nothing I can do, giving up, to taking action in form of baby steps. Sometimes I think we try to do it all in one bite, you know, eat the elephant and all in one bite. I'm a vegan, we don't want to eat any elephants, okay? Even one bite at a time. But really, the behavior is about taking action and taking responsibility. And again, taking that action with baby steps. So then, another way that this book points out, what's great about this book, I have to tell you, is it's a little story. Okay, so it's really easy to read. And then in the appendix in the back, it gives all the principles. Okay, but you get to experience the process through a story. And so one of the things is called Frisbee. We have to be aware of our Frisbee, not our Frisbee, but our Frisbee. And the Frisbee is what's our focus on, okay? What's our inner state? We learned that all in mindfulness meditation last year. And what is my behavior? Because they play one from the other. So we want to make sure that our focus is not on the problem, but rather is on our vision, what we want. We want to go from that inner state of anxiety or fear or whatever to passion and excitement and enthusiasm. And then we want to go from fight, flight, or freeze to those baby steps. Again, taking those baby steps, doing something. And then that also involves our attention, paying attention to what's going on, our intention, what we want, and, you know, of course, that leads to our results. So again, everything's focused on what I want instead of what I don't want, and realizing that the power of the mind and the feelings and the behaviors that bring this all about. So I want to tell you a story. I don't know how many of you have heard of a woman named Maria Neiman, not the Hungarian dancer from the 1800s, but Maria Neiman is, she's a coach, she's a friend of mine, and she's somebody who, through her coaching, transformed my life. And I thought of Maria when I was preparing for this, because she has a wonderful victim story that happened to her. And here's how she expresses it. She said, I gambled and lost. I invested $35,000 on an unsecured promissory note to a man I had known for 6 months. It was not even my own money. I borrowed it from a family member. The man to whom I loaned this money promised I would get a 30% return on my investment. The money was supposed to be used to make short-term loans to buyers who needed to close real estate transactions. It was a fraud. There were no escrows, and within a few months, all the investors lost everything. She said, when I lost the money, I felt terrible and stupid. I hoped nobody would find out. But fate had other plans. 2 weeks after I discovered my money was gone, I got an unexpected phone call from a local newswoman. Dr. Neiman, the university gave us your name as associate clinical professor there, and because you are a psychotherapist. You may not be aware of this, but Sacramento has been having a run of investment frauds. I'm doing this article on it. We need to know from a professional if there's any type of personality or character flaw that allows people to get taken by these schemes. Is there something wrong with their thinking process? Maria thought, oh my God, I've been caught. I wanted to say, I was way too busy to talk. I wanted to hang up the phone. That's back when we hung up phones. before she asked another question. I saw my whole reputation going down the drain. What if I told this reporter the truth? I lost money in one of those scams. I heard the words slipping out of my mouth, and I was horrified. I stared into the receiver. We used to have receivers. Feeling my heart going right down through those little black holes. There were little black holes. What could I possibly be thinking? At one point, the reporter tried to find excuses for my actions. That's called a rescuer, and we'll deal with that a few weeks from now. Well, maybe, she said, but do you want to know the real reason I invested with him without reading the fine print? By now, the relief from telling the truth was making me feel a little heady. Yes, tell me. It was greed. I love that. I've experienced that before, but I'm not going to give the example of somebody that was greedy with me here in the room. Okay, but we learned to laugh about it. He gave us a good 15 years of laughing, as I recall. So anyways, she said, soon after publication of the article, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and strangers began calling and revealing their financial nightmares. Prompted by exploratory research, I decided to sponsor an informal workshop on money, scarcity, and abundance. That was a turning point in my life. I felt I had been given a life's mission, a way I could give my own life meaning and purpose. I could provide tools for others to gain clarity and empowerment with money. Well, as I say, the rest is history. Maria Neiman went from giving local You and Money workshops to being in demand to do these workshops across the country. She was inundated with requests for a book. So she wrote a book called You and Money by the same title, and it was published by an obscure publisher who I Googled last night and was no longer in business. But the book was noticed by another publisher, and she was offered an opportunity to rewrite the book as The Energy of Money, which was published by Wellspring Valentine. In 2002, she founded the Academy for Coaching Excellence, because the main thing she taught back when in the You and Money workshop I went to way back in 1997 was how you do money, you do life. Real scary. Okay. And then in 2008, her widely acclaimed work was brought to a wider audience through an appearance on the Oprah show. So, that sounds like a shift from victim to creator consciousness to me. Would you agree?
Yeah.
A wonderful, wonderful story. And yeah, she remains, she's been here at San Buffet and done workshops and remains just a powerful person of influence in my life. So how do we do this? How do we shift from victim to creator? And I would say the first prayer and meditation technique that I would invite us to use would be mindfulness. To really be present to what we're feeling, so we can identify whether or not, what are the thoughts we're having, what are the feelings we're having, because both of those are part of mindfulness, to be aware of what we're thinking, to be aware of what we're feeling, and certainly to be aware of how we're behaving, right? And we can only do that when we stop and pay attention. And then I'm going to take you through a short meditation process that will hone this in, but it was from a YouTube I found called How Victimhood Affects the Brain. That's where I got that piece on the biophysiology. So you can take an opportunity as you read this book to be mindful and to reflect, to read something, and when you feel something hit you, whether it's wow or ooh, I don't like that, to really take a moment to reflect on it. And of course, the other thing would be to join me on Wednesdays. It's this Wednesday, next Wednesday, then we're going to take a break because I have to go to a regional board meeting in Colorado, and then we'll wrap up the following week. So, I celebrate your shift, and I celebrate my shift from victim to creator consciousness by using whatever experience we go through to really step into who we came here to be and to make a difference in the world. And let's begin doing that right now in a sacred time of shared prayer that I presented today on victim orientation or victim consciousness. And as you consider what it's like to be a victim, to feel like a victim, just notice what's happening. What's happening in your body? Notice the breath. Maybe notice those thoughts that haven't calmed down yet. Notice the feelings in the body. Is your heart beating faster? Is your stomach relaxed or tight? Are you starting to feel relaxed? Maybe freed up? Just simply notice what's happening in your mind and your body. Not trying to do anything to change it, just noticing. And simply connect the belief and the thoughts expressed in today's message with your own body's reaction. In so doing, we're allowing for a small transformation of that belief system. And let's allow for that noticing and that small transformation in the silence. As we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, feel gratitude fill your heart, your body, your mind. As you silently say, thank you, Creator, I am, for the wisdom to take this information and allow it to transform my life by putting feet on it. Thank you. For the possibility of a new future through every small transformation of beliefs that block my awareness of who I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you, that it is so, and so it is, and so